Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to present another poem by Li He. Since we are still in the 鬼月 or the ghost month, I'm going to tell another ghost story and translate a poem about a love affair between a young man and a female ghost. The title of today's poem is 书小小墓 or On the Grave of 书小小. I'll first tell the story of Xiao-xiao, a bit of history how her story changed over the century. Then I'll read Li He's poem. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about the classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and traditional Chinese medicine. Please click the like button and subscribe my channel. Your support is very important to me. Any small donation to my channel is much appreciated, so that I can afford technical support and focus my attention to make better videos for you. I also offer lessons on these subjects. If you would like to have a personally tailored lessons or read the classical Chinese text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Now, let me tell you who this Shu Xiao-xiao was. There is no historical record of her, except one poem supposedly composed by this lady. The poem is recorded in a collection of poetry in the title of 玉台新咏, a new collection of poetry from the Jade Terrace. This text was published around 534 CE by a leading scholar official named Xu Ling. Here is the poem. 妾乘游碧车，郎骑青铜马。何处皆同心，西陵松柏下。I'm riding a oilcloth-sided carriage, and you are on a gentle piebald horse. Where shall we tie our knot of love? Under the pine trees at Western Hill. 接同心, or tying up the lover's knot, was part of the traditional wedding. Sometimes it refers to the knot hanging around the wedding bed. Sometimes it refers to the ritual of tying the hair of the groom and the bride. On the wedding night, the groom and the bride would cut off a strand of their hair and tie the two strands of hair together, as shown here. This is why a formerly married couple is called 结发夫妻, or a couple who tied their hair. This tradition is still practiced in Taiwan and has made a comeback in mainland China recently. I think it is quite lovely. This poem might be a letter she sent to her lover after they met in one of her outings. It implies that she was willing to elope with her lover. She might even have a place at the Western Hill under the pine trees where they can consummate their marriage. From this poem, scholar officials from the subsequent Tang Dynasty of the 7th, 8th, and 9th centuries imagined a talented and passionate lady who broke the social norm of arranged marriage and fell in love with a young man. No one knows who she was and where she was from. This left plenty room for imagination. Some scholars believed that she was the daughter of an aristocrat because she was riding on an oilcloth-sided carriage when she met her lover, and only the aristocrats were entitled to such luxury vehicles during the 5th and 6th centuries. Others argue that she might be a courtesan kept by an aristocrat. This was the view held by most of the Tang poets who composed many poems for her. I tend to believe the view that she was a lady from the aristocrat family. If she was a kept woman, she would not be allowed to going out without her man, let alone fall in love with another man. The 5th and 6th centuries were a culturally tolerant time for young women. This was the time when the legend of Mulan was circulating and celebrated. If a daughter of a warrior could manage to be a general in the north, a young lady at the south could certainly fall in love and run away with her lover. Famous poets such as Bai Jiyi, Li Shangyin, and Wen Qingjun composed many poems praising her poetic talent, beauty, bravery, and passion for romantic love, making her their heroine in their romantic fantasies. However, Li He's poem changed the subsequent imaginations to a complete different direction. She became a ghost who would meet young scholars in their dreams, and the young men were willing to die to be with her. There were many stories circulating since the late Tang Dynasty about her love affairs with young talented scholars. The best-known story was the one published by an early Song Dynasty scholar official named Zhang Lei in his Keshan or an anthology of Axe-Handle Mountain. The story is known as Qiantang Yi Meng, or A Strange Dream by the Qiantang River. By the way, Zhang Lei was a disciple of a great Song Dynasty poet named Shu Shi. I have posted several videos talking about Shu Shi's stories and poems. Here is the link to one of them. The story of Qiantang Yi Meng goes something like this. There was a scholar named Sima You who just passed the National Civil Service examination. His family and neighbors were very happy for him and held a farewell banquet for him. He got quite drunk at the banquet and fell asleep during the daytime. A beautiful lady entered his dream and sang a song for him. The lyrics of the song was so beautiful that Sima You also composed a corresponding song. In her song, the lady said she lived by the Qiantang River. Later, Sima You took an office at the Qiantang County and recalled the lady from his dream. On the day he arrived at Qiantang, Sima You composed a poem and chanted the poem to commemorate her. That night, the lady came to his dream again, and they became a couple. She would come to his dream every night from then on. Sima You told his colleagues about the affair, and one of the colleagues told Sima You that the grave of a lady named Xiao-xiao was just at the back of his office and residence. Maybe the lady in Sima You's dream was her. Sima You built a boat and decorated it lavishly. He often entertained his colleagues on the boat. One evening, one of his boatmen saw a young man got on board with a beautiful lady and sailed down the river. Then suddenly the boat burst into flame and sunk into the river. The boatman rushed back to Sima You's office and reported the incident, only to find that Sima You had died. From the Song to the Qing Dynasty, many novels, plays, and poetry were compiled resembling this plot. Xiao-xiao became a legendary figure for talent and beauty. Her grave also became a tourist spot, visited by many young scholars over the centuries, leaving many beautiful poems about her. Unfortunately, her grave was destroyed during the wars in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties. The fourth Qing emperor, 爱新觉罗弘历, visited the Qiantang County around 1780 and inquired about Xiao-xiao's grave. So, her grave was rebuilt 4 years later. This new grave lasted until 1964 and was destroyed during the Cultural Revolution. In 2004, the local government there rebuilt her grave again for tourist purpose. Xiao-xiao, her grave and her story are the testimony to the unfortunate fate of many Chinese heritages. It endures significant socio-political upheavals and turmoils, got destroyed, but was rebuilt over and over again. Do you have legends of female talents and beauties in your culture like this? I would love to hear your story. Li He's poem was the turning point where the imagination about Xiao-xiao changed into a love affair between a living scholar and a female ghost. There are also many imageries in her poem and that of Li He's poem associated with wedding. This poses a difficult task for how shall we translate Li He's poem. When I was researching wedding convention during the Tang Dynasty, I find that Minghun, or ghost wedding, was a common practice. The royal family had held many weddings for their unmarried dead sons and daughters. By the Tang Dynasty, there was already a belief that if a young man died before he was married and had a son, his spirit would not rest in peace because he had no one looking after him in the ghost world and no son to offer sacrifices to him from the living world. So the relatives of such young man would organize a minghun or a ghost wedding for their deceased son. During the Tang Dynasty, the parents or older brothers would seek out an unmarried deceased young woman to be the bride and adopt a son on his behalf called Siji to continue his branch of the family. The ghost wedding ceremony was the same as that of a living couple. If a young woman died before she was married, it also posed a difficulty to her parents. Her extended family often would refuse to allow her to be buried in the family's cemetery because a daughter was not considered a family member during Imperial China. She belonged to her future husband's family and should be buried in her husband's family's cemetery when she passed away and accept offerings from her husband's children. This convention is still practiced in some parts of China today. So, marrying out a dead daughter was and might still be a very important thing for her parents. Marriage between a ghost and a living person was also called a minghun or ghost wedding. The Taiwanese movie Marry My Dead Body presents an accurate account of such a wedding for today. I highly recommend this movie. It is on the Netflix and it is in English. So, after much consideration, I would like to translate this poem as an imagined ghost wedding between a living scholar and the ghost of Shu Xiao-xiao. Now, let me read Li He's poem in Chinese first, and then explain the poem in English. 幽兰露如啼眼，无物解同心，烟花不堪剪。草如茵，松如盖，风为长，水为佩。 邮币车西厢带，冷翠竹劳光彩，西陵下风吹雨。Now, let's look at the first four lines. 幽兰露如题眼，无物解同心，烟花不堪见。幽 means hidden or secluded. Lan refers to orchid. Youlan is a culturally rich phrase. There is a story about how Confucius composed the song in the title of Youlan. Confucius allegedly saw a beautiful orchid flower deep in a valley. He was disappointed that such a beautiful and fragrant flower were hidden among the weeds and was not appreciated by people. To express his feeling, Confucius composed a song named Youlan. This story was recorded in an essay collection in the title of Qin Chao or Caesar Menu, compiled by an Eastern Han Dynasty scholar official named Cai Yong, who was also a famous musician. The hidden orchid flower is also a popular poetic imagery to represent virtuous and talented persons who were not recognized and employed by the rulers. Qu Yuan, a Warring State period poet from the 4th century BCE, used these imageries referring to virtuous persons in his poem Li Sao, or a sad song on my departure. Here are the two couplets about the imageries of Youlan. 时爱爱其将罢兮，结幽兰而言著。是浑浊而不分兮，好必美而极度。It is getting dark and I'm about to leave, but I still linger around for the fragrant orchid. This world does not know good from bad. People often envy the virtuous ones and ignore their beautiful qualities. It is clear that Youlan refers to the virtuous person. By the Tang Dynasty, this phrase often refers to the quiet and beautiful ladies, especially the well-educated one, as in the case here. Lu means dewdrops. Youlan Lu refers to the dewdrops on the orchid flowers. Ru means like. Ti means cry. Yan means eyes. Ti yan refers to tear-stained eyes. Wu means not. Wu means things. Wu means there is nothing. Jie means tie. Tongxin or Tongxinjie refers to the lover's knot. Jie Tongxin means to tie the lover's knot, as I mentioned in our translation of Xiao-xiao's poem. If you recall her poem, she stated that she was willing to tie the lover's knot by the western hill. Now that she had died, there is no way she could cut her hair and tie the lover's knot with her lover. Yan refers to mist. Hua means flower. Bu means not. Kan means bear. Bu kan means could not bear. Jian means cut. Yanhua is also a culturally rich phrase. It refers to the flowers shrouded in the mist or the splendid spring scenery in the south along the Yangtze River, where it is often misty during the spring. When all the flowers are blooming and shrouded in the mist, it is a unique scenery for people from the north. Since the late Tang Dynasty, many brothels were also built along the river in the south. Yanhua also refers to women working in the entertaining industry or brothels. In modern Chinese, Yanhua almost exclusively refers to firework. In this line, it refers to the flowers shrouded in the mist. However, There is also a hidden meaning here. In a traditional wedding, the bride or groom often gets up during their wedding night to cut off the snuff of the candle to make sure the candle won't die out, symbolizing that their love will not die out. Since this poem is about a ghost wedding, I think 烟花 here is to replace 灯花. I interpret this line as an indication that this poem is describing a dream of the poet. He imagined that Xiao-xiao could not cut the flowers because she does not have a body, even though she would like to keep the wedding tradition of cutting the 灯花. So the four lines can be translated as Dewdrops on secluded orchid are like my tear-stained eyes. Nothing to tie our lover's knot, and I can't cut the misty blossoms. 草如茵，松如盖，风为长，水为佩，邮币车，西厢带。草 means grass. 如 means like. Yin refers to mat. Shong means pine. Ru means like. Gai refers to carriage canopy. Feng means wind. Wei means is. Chang means skirt. Shui means water. Wei means is again. Pei means pendant. You bi means oilcloth side. Che means carriage. Xi means nightfall. Xiang means each other. Dai means wait. So these lines can be translated as grass is like a mat, a pine, a canopy over my carriage. Wind is my skirt, water my pendant. In an oilcloth-sided carriage, at nightfall, I'm waiting for you. 冷翠竹，劳光彩，西陵下，风吹雨。冷 means cold. 翠 refers to the blue color of kingfisher's feather. 竹 means candle. 翠竹 refers to the blue-colored candle. It is quite interesting that the blue-colored candles are used here. Candles used for a wedding are usually red and were kept burning all night long at the wedding night, as I mentioned earlier. However, here the candles died out and became cold. 老 means exhausted. 光彩 means brilliance. 西 means western. 岭 means hill. 下 means beneath. 风 means wind. 吹 means blow. 雨 means rain. So the four lines can be translated as the blue candles get cold and exhaust their brilliance. Beneath the western hill, wind blows the rain. As you can see from my translation, I interpret this poem as an account of a ghost wedding, or 冥婚, between a young scholar and the ghost of Xiao-xiao, imagined by the poet. I divide the poem into two parts. The first 10 lines are from Xiao-xiao's ghost. She told the poet what had happened. And the last 4 lines are from the young scholar who fell in love with her. However, I'm not sure whether this happened in the scholar's dream or in reality. I'm inclined to believe it was in the scholar's dream. As you can see, the poem starts with Xiao-xiao's tear-stained eyes and her regret that she could not cut off her hair to tie the lover's knot. However, she still managed to prepare the wedding mat, the carriage that she would ride to her wedding, dressed herself up with beautiful gown as light as the wind and jet pendants as clear as water, and waited for her lover in her carriage at dusk, just like when she was alive. So far, so good. The last four lines are the most puzzling for me. Instead of the red candles for a wedding, the candles used are blue. Instead of keeping the candles burning all night long, symbolizing the undying love between the newly married couple, the candle burned out and went cold. Furthermore, at the place where they were supposed to consummate their marriage, there was only the wind blowing the rain. Did they get married? Or was it just a dream of a young scholar that Xiao-xiao sold up and they had a ghost wedding and only to wake up to the extinguished blue candles and the howling wind, and she was nowhere to be found? What do you think? Like his poem about the accessed Rachel, Li He showed his extraordinary imagination in this poem again. No one ever read poetry like him until then. It might be the many ghost weddings held by the royal family inspired him. As I mentioned many times, the court politics during the Tang Dynasty was particularly brutal. Many young princes and princesses were murdered, executed, or simply killed in the crossfire between different branches of the royal clan. And many times, some of them regained power. According to the 旧唐书, or the old edition of Tang Dynasty history, Li Xian was the fourth and sixth emperor of the Tang. He assumed the throne when his father Li Zhi died in 683 CE. A year later, his mother, Empress Wu Zetian, took the throne from him and exiled him to Fangzhou, or the Fang County, located in today's Hubei province. His younger brother Li Dan assumed the throne as the puppet emperor for their mother Wu Zetian. Li Xian and many of his relatives were exiled, including his wife's family. His wife's parents and brothers were exiled to the southern hill located in today's Guangdong province, and 4 of her brothers were murdered there. In the following decade, many more killings happened within the royal clan, and Wu Zetian declared herself as the only female emperor, not empress, in 690 CE. In 698 CE, Wu Zetian summoned back Li Xian as her crown prince. However, as a crown prince, Li Xian had little power. One of his sons and a daughter were executed because they insulted their grandmother's lover. In 705, Li Xian organized a coup, forcing his mother Wu Zetian to abdicate the throne to him. As you can see, many princes and princesses died before they were married and had children. Li Xian's wife, Empress Wei, held many ghost weddings for her siblings and children and other relatives. This might be the reason Li He imagined a ghost wedding for Xiao-xiao rather than a simple love affair between a young scholar and the ghost of Xiao-xiao. Please let me know what do you think of the poem and the ghost story I presented here. Since this is the last week of the Ghost Month, this will be my last video about the ghost stories and poems. I might make more such videos in November around the American Halloween. I'm going to have a little break next week, but I'll upload a few video clips to keep you entertained. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about the classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and traditional Chinese medicine. Please click the like button and subscribe my channel. Your support is very important to me. Any small donations to my channel will be much appreciated so that I can afford technical support and focus my attention and energy to make better videos for you. I also offer online lessons, so if you would like to have personally tailored lessons on these subjects or read the classical Chinese text with me, please contact me. Here's my email address. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you next time.